Hello footy fans, welcome to another episode of the Ultimate AFL Preview Show for 2017. Now in today's episode I'll be previewing round 3 of the 2017 AFL Premiership season. Set to be another ripping round, so let's not muck around, let's get straight in to previewing the games of round 3. Round 3 kicks off on a Friday night, Friday the 7th of April in Sydney at the Sydney Cricket Ground between the winless Sydney Swans and the winless Collingwood. This game starting at 7:50 p.m. That is Australian Eastern Time, of course. And of course, like I mentioned, at the SCG you can watch all the action on 7 and also Fox Footy, of course. As I mentioned, these two teams both winless. They haven't won a game from their 2 games so far in season 2017. The Swans did play a home game in round 1, got beat by Port Adelaide, so Collingwood can take some sort of confidence into that a team has actually beaten the Swans at their home deck, which is It can be hard to do. Now, the last time Collingwood was here, they did get beat up pretty badly. That was round 1 last year. Collingwood hasn't won at the SCG since 2000. Now, that does seem like a pretty big gap, but Collingwood has played a lot of games at ANZ Stadium in the past against the Swans. So, and actually Collingwood beat the Swans at ANZ Stadium in 2014. So they have recently won in Sydney, just not at the SCG. Magpies have won 140 games against Swans in the 24 games they have played. So an interesting game, this one. Of course, Collingwood, they haven't played bad footy in their 2 games that they've played so far. They've showed signs. It's just been the execution, the wasteful chances that have let them down. And, they could have won probably the game against the Dogs, possibly. And then last week against Richmond, they were in that game. So, look, they have to take their chances against the Swans, or otherwise the Swans will punish them in this game. I reckon the Swans will be too strong. I am expecting a good game, though, and I am expecting Collingwood to really take it up to the Swans. Saturday, there are 5 massive games. It all starts at Blundstone Arena in Hobart, in the state of Tasmania, where North Melbourne take on the GWS Giants. This game starting at 1:45 p.m. Of course, like I mentioned, at Blundstone Arena. I'm actually heading to this game. This will be the first AFL game I'll attend of 2017. Really looking forward to this one because I actually enjoyed North Melbourne's game on Sunday. They lost by a point in the end, and they actually took it up to the Eagles in their first game, but the second half was quite woeful. So I actually think they're not playing as bad footy as what we probably would have forecast. And even though it probably looks likely they're going to be down the bottom half of the ladder, it seems like they're going to take it up to teams this year and possibly get a few upsets along the way. So this could possibly be an upset. I reckon, being at Blundstone Arena, where they've only lost 3 times there in their history so far, that was against 2 against the Swans and 1 against the Eagles, that this could possibly be an upset. Of course, the GWS Giants are coming off a 102-point thrashing, 102-point win rather, thrashing win I should say, against the Gold Coast Suns. At their home ground at Spotless Stadium, so they're coming into this game with really good form. They probably shouldn't get it their own way, but I think they're going to win this game. I think the Giants, they should be far too strong for North Melbourne. Like I said, though, I wouldn't be surprised if there's an upset on the cards, but with big men such as Jeremy Cameron and then the likes of Toby Green, Callan Ward, and players like that, I think they should get the job done pretty easily. Really looking forward to watching this game live. I've never seen the GWS Giants live before, so this is going to be the first time I see them live, and I'm really looking forward to it because they have a lot of talent in their side. Just a little fact to note that North have won 8 of the last 9 at Blundstone. And as I mentioned, they've only lost 3 times in the history that they've been playing home games there. And North Melbourne have actually won 5 of the last 6 against the GWS Giants. GWS winning against North Melbourne for the first time last year at Etihad. At 2:10 p.m. on Saturday afternoon, Richmond will take on the West Coast Eagles at the MCG. This game, I'm really actually interested to see how this game unfolds, because both these teams are undefeated and going quite well at the moment. Of course, Richmond, they've only versed Carlton and Collingwood. We can't really get too much of an idea whether they're top 8 worthy just yet, although the win against Collingwood last week was quite good, and well, the Eagles, they were quite poor for 3 quarters last week at Domain Stadium against St Kilda, but they'll be looking to put in a 4-quarter effort in this game at the G on Saturday afternoon. You can watch all the action on Fox Sports 3. The Eagles have won the last 2 against the Tigers. One of them was at the MCG. Last year they versed each other at Domain Stadium in Perth. Eagles hold a 25-16 winning advantage against the Tigers from 42 clashes. So it's clearly obvious that the West Coast Eagles have a couple of stats going right for them and going towards them. Look, it's a tough game to tip, this one. I want to kind of go Richmond because, they've played 2 games at the MCG so far this year, and, they've won both of them. But I think the Eagles are a lot more of a stronger side, and with the likes of Yeo and Kennedy and Pritis and Lacroix and Shuey, players like that, I think they might be a little bit too strong for the Tigers. But I'm expecting this to be a real close game, and if Richmond can take it up to the Eagles and stay in it for the whole match, they might be able to take this away, and if they lose, then I guess they can take something out of the game as well. So a little bit of a test for the Tigers. They've won their first 2 games of the season. Now let's see if they can beat a top 8 opponent in the likes of West Coast Eagles, who finished in the top 8 last year. Going to be a fascinating game, this one. Looking forward to seeing how this game unfolds on Saturday afternoon. Saturday twilight game is at Etihad Stadium starting at 4:35 p.m. It is between 2 undefeated sides, Geelong and Melbourne. You can watch all the action on Fox Footy from 4:30 p.m. Really looking forward to seeing how this game unfolds. A very interesting fact, this one, that Geelong and Melbourne meet this Saturday for the first time at Etihad Stadium ever. That is a real remarkable statistic, but it's probably good from a Melbourne point of view because they don't win at Etihad too often, especially in recent history. Geelong won by 111 points last season in the final round. It was actually Paul Roos' last game as coach, and Geelong thrashed him down at the Cattery at Simmons Stadium. Not pretty there from a D's point of view. Geelong have won 4 of the last 5. Melbourne did actually recently, a couple of years ago, go down to the Cattery and win against the Cats. Look, I think Melbourne are good enough to take it up to Geelong. Geelong had a bit of a scare last week. They probably didn't play too well until the last quarter, to be truthful, or maybe the second half. But I think Melbourne, they have the ability to take it up to the Cats, and I think this might be a close game. I am going to tip Geelong, though, with the likes of Selwood, Dangerfield, and so forth. I think they should be just that tad too strong. But like I mentioned about Richmond, if Melbourne can keep with them for the whole game and keep it close, then anything's possible. It should be a very interesting game, this one. 2 Saturday night games to enjoy on Saturday night. They're pretty good games, I reckon. The first one being Fremantle and the Western Bulldogs. This game at Domain Stadium in Perth, starting at 7:40 p.m. Eastern Time. That is 5:40 p.m. local time over there in Perth. In round 23 last year, the Dogs were beaten by Fremantle at Domain Stadium. However, they did win for the first time in a long time in the elimination final against Eagles at Domain Stadium. So they have won there before. It was in the elimination final last year. Freo have won 4 of the last 5 against the Dogs. The Dogs actually beat Fremantle in round 1 last year in a very convincing win that day. The Western Bulldogs haven't won against Fremantle at Domain since 2009, so it has been a while since they've beaten Fremantle at Domain Stadium, Subiaco Oval, of course. But like I said, they did win there last year. The way that Fremantle are going, you'd probably expect the Western Bulldogs to win this quite convincingly. You can't be too sure over there at Domain Stadium, but I'm going to be sure here. I think the Western Bulldogs can win this game and make it 3-0 at the end of round 3. Of course, you can watch this game on 7 and also Fox Sports 3. And the last game of Saturday is an absolute beauty. I cannot wait for this. 2 undefeated sides, and they are both South Australian teams. It's the Showdown. It is Showdown 42 at Adelaide Oval this Saturday night, starting at 7:40 PM Australian Eastern Time, 7:10 PM local time. Port Adelaide and the Adelaide Crows. I can't wait for this game. I reckon it will be an absolute ripper. These two teams both in really good form, surprisingly. And it's hard to actually tip who will win this one, because they've both been in terrific form. It's no question about that. Port Adelaide have beaten Sydney at home at the SCG, and then Fremantle, and the Adelaide Crows, well, they had a good win away from home against the Hawks and obviously beat the Giants in round 1. It's a tough one. I don't know who to tip for this one. Brad Ebert, Ollie Wines playing some fantastic football for the Power, and well, Betts and Walker and you know, Cameron and Rory Sloane and players like that are playing, you know, Lynch as well, playing some really good games for Adelaide Crows so far in 2017. So, look, Crows have won 4 of the past 5. I think I'm going to stick with the Crows just. I reckon they'll make it 3-0, but I think it will be a very close game, and it's hard to tip a winner in this one. I went to Port Adelaide, but then went back to Adelaide Crows, went back to Port Adelaide again. I was a bit in between for a while, but I'm going to go the Crows. They've been in terrific form. Did have a slow first half last week and also the week before, however, so I don't think they can get away with that against Port Adelaide, because they're in good nick, and if they do that, then Port Adelaide may win this game. So it's going to be a good game. Good Showdown 42, this one. Sunday, there are 3 games, as most Sundays do contain, and the first one is at Etihad Stadium, starting at 1:10 PM between the Saints and the Lions. Looking forward to this game, because I think it might be it could be a good game. The Brisbane Lions, of course, have already won in 2017. They did lose last week to Essendon, and St Kilda haven't won a game yet, but they're back at home to try and get that first victory. Nick Riewoldt, who I don't think will play this week, but interesting to note, he kicked 9 against the Lions last time out, which was in fact, I think it was in round 23 last year, so he had a field day against the Lions. St Kilda have won 6 of the last 8. The Lions are in good form. Can they bring that away from home is the task here at the moment. Look, I'm gonna tip St Kilda. Being at home, I think St Kilda have been playing good enough footy to win this game, but I expect it to be a real good clash. I think the Lions have really improved since last year already. The mid-Sunday afternoon game on Sunday is between Carlton and Essendon. This game getting underway at 3:20 PM at the MCG. You can watch all the action on 7 and also Fox Sports 3. Really looking forward to this game. Essendon won the last clash against these two teams in round 23 last year at the MCG. Essendon have won 36 of the 65 games against Carlton at the MCG, so they have the upper hand at this present time over Carlton in terms of games won at the MCG between the two sides. Carlton took it up to Melbourne last week. I expect them to do the same against Essendon. Essendon should be far too strong, but if Carlton can take it up to Melbourne like they did last week and not make those mistakes that they did in the fourth quarter, I think that's what cost them the game a little bit. Is, you know, they had the 3/4 time lead and they came out in the fourth quarter, turned it over, made silly mistakes. That might be due to inexperience, but if they can improve on that this week, then they may be in with a shot. But I think Essendon will be far too strong in this round 3 game on Sunday afternoon. And then the final game of round 3 is at Metricon Stadium. It's between the Gold Coast Suns and the Hawks, 2 winless sides. So it could be a good game, to be honest. This game starting at 4:40 PM. Of course, you can watch all the action on Fox Footy. I actually saw these two teams play out a somewhat close and entertaining game last year at UTAS Stadium, Aurora Stadium as it was last year, and that was yeah, that was last year in one of the rounds, and I went and saw that and thought it was pretty entertaining, and I thought the Suns took it up to the Hawks and obviously slipped away in the end. The Hawks too strong that day, but they did take it up to them, and that's what I'd like to see in this game, because the Suns are just they're not giving anything, to be honest. They're, last week was a disaster, 102-point losers to the Giants. You can't be doing that early on in the season, because you're going to have a long season. So, for the sake of the Suns, I'm hoping that they bounce back and somewhat show some fight. The Hawks should be far too strong. They haven't actually lost a game to the Suns so far, so the Hawks, they should be far too strong at Metricon Stadium. I'd love to see the Suns take it up to the Hawks, though, of course. These two teams winless, so I guess anything's possible, isn't it? And that is it for this episode of the Ultimate AFL Preview Show. Thank you very much for clicking on and watching. Of course, don't forget to like, comment and share this video. Subscribe, of course. I also do the Ultimate AFL Wrap-Up Show, so if you stay tuned and subscribe, then you can keep up to date with next week's episode, which will include a full wrap on the third round of the 2017 AFL Premiership season. Of course, another episode coming up of this show next week, where I'll preview round 4. Looking forward to that. Of course, it's the Easter round, so looking forward to previewing the games in round 4. But until then, I'm Jacob. Hope your side gets up on the weekend. Bye for now.